apart, and that's about 4 inches. So this guy looks like it's at least 8 inches, and it's got all kinds of little things.
Okay, video.
Papillae.
I don't know.
Oh, wow.
This is the spotty one.
Cool.
We've seen
This is very
before,
cool.
but
This
it
is very cool.
Just gorgeous. Look
So
at
you
the
can see
legs.
its head end is raised up.
Right? Oh, it's looking at us. Its tail end is also raised up.
That's true.
We might see something happen. I love the little pale pink.
You see it's kind of feeding
dots.
tentacles over on the left-hand side. Oh, sorry, Patty, go ahead.
Yes,
No, that's its head. I just was remarking on the spots on its side. We have seen this animal before on another dive. I don't remember which one. Oh, that's beautiful. It has a bifurcated tentacle coming out of the top of its head end.
I think those are kind of like fused. I think it's more like they're fused.
Yeah, I don't see any others that are bifurcated like that.
Oh, well, then I might not be. Oh, I see which one you're looking at.
Yeah,
yep. Okay, I see. Yep,
to the left.
Yep, I see which one you're looking at.
That's weird. But life does take experimental changes in order to advance.
Let's do another move. I'll just rush ahead if I have to. But.
Oh, that is beautiful, Pat.
Whenever
you're ready.
This one does not match anything in the OER guide or the Hurl Animal Guide.
Nice.
Cool.
So, it's a gorgeous animal, but I think we got a new person here, a new sea cucumber here, and I'm sure Tina Molitsova will send this to Andre Gabruk there at Shear Shop, who specializes in these animals. She'll send him the picture, and hopefully he can help us out with it, because I don't know what we're looking at.
Oh, that's good to know, Chris. We did see one of these on another dive. I know that we did. I remember the spots and all of the tentacles sticking up from the back of the animal. Oh, now this.
Yeah, and as I recall, if that's
jelly.
right, we didn't know what it was then either.
Yeah,
jellies
right.
Too.
Tilt up.
That one has all its tentacles wrapped in underneath its carapace, or its bell.
Is it too close?
Bell, there you go.
Right. I was told by a senior biologist that the bell of jellyfish actually is where its brain is located.
Black background by tilting up.
Anybody on shore know anything about that? Was this guy just having me on? Or is it true that it's
he's gone.
its mental faculties are distributed throughout the bell?
Such as they are.
Yeah, okay, given.
I'm not sure they have brains. Okay, looks like we got something swimming right up at the top. Yeah, it's kind of off the top of the screen now.
Ah, gone. And there is a brittle
Go ahead,
star.
Another cuskeel, or maybe the same one.
Oh, fish? Yeah. Okay.
And
To
over...
answer your question, I think probably what that person was referring to is a nerve net.
Nerve net,
So there's no centralized brain in a jellyfish or in any of these cnidarians, but they do have what's referred to as a nerve net, so distribution of essentially nerve cells. They're not true nerve cells, but they conduct nerve impulses that are distributed around the entire bell because they encounter various parts of the environment in different ways. They don't have a head end or a back end, so it's better to have this decentralized nervous system.
Oh, thank you for that explanation and clarification.
That was Scott France from the University of Louisiana at Lafayette.
So
You'll hear Scott quite often. Scott has been on the Okeanos Explorer as the biology science lead on a few expeditions. He's been one of the regular members of our shore-based science team for this entire expedition, as have many other members of the scientific community. So we've got probably about 20 folks who are participating in our chat room right now, and a few others who are on the phone, but not necessarily in our chat room.
I know. What's that white thing? Leaving the bottom screen.
I don't know. Let's take a look.
One person who's in the chat room doesn't usually call in is Tina Molitsova. Tina's deep sea biologist from the P.P. Shirshov Institute in Moscow. And another person is Asako Matsumoto. Asako's from the Chiba Institute of Technology in Japan. So this is not only participation from scientists and resource managers in the United States, but around the world. Around the world. Yep. Okay, we're zooming in on a hexactinellid sponge. So a glass sponge. Looks like. Yep.
Nice image, though.
Okay.
Very nice image.
And it's going to take forever to get to the wall, she says.
Well, if we've seen it, we can
Don't
just...
I'd say we can go ahead. Just snap zoom's good. Thank you.
Roger, perfect. It is important to catalog the animals that we see on the floor.
It could be another hyalinomatid, maybe that'd be my guess. Maybe a small version of what we looked at a little while ago.
Thank you, Chris.
Whoa.
It's interesting, actually, Chris, because remember yesterday someone, I don't remember who it was, one of our colleagues in the shore-based science team asked if there was some upper limit, there's a maximum length that these stalks will grow to. And yesterday, a lot of the ones we saw were pretty much the same size, but today we've seen some that have been a lot shorter. Now, admittedly, they've been from some different species as well, but I'm seeing some shorter spicule stalks here as well. That doesn't necessarily mean they're still growing. It might just mean they've reached an optimal distance from off the bottom where they can feed. They're getting enough food.
Yep, that's what I'd say.
Looks like a dead thing.
Well, I also think that the sponges, the stalk sponges we've been seeing today all have that the lophophytus attachment or stalk, which means they're attaching by fibers, and the actual spicules that are making up the stalk have not been put together with a lot of silica, whereas the sponges the long stalk sponge we saw yesterday, I think most of the stalk had been glued together, and I think that stabilizes it, allows the sponge to get up higher in the water column. And it may be just as simple as these fibrous, non-glued together stalks just can't grow up that high before they start bending over.
It's a little disorienting.
It's like a desert.
Yeah, it's a delicate balance between having enough, rigidity, but also having some flexibility to wave back and forth. Oh, here we go. What do we got? Yep.
This is another one of these
interest in a close look?
corals that we saw earlier.
Quick close look.
Okay.
In the dive that makes little
yeah, you can go in and
indentations
very much not set up,
in the sediment as they get
hashtag
wafted
show
about
us
in the
up
currents.
right now?
From Sri
We did see one, I think you were not
345,
here,
346.
we did see one that was attached to a rock earlier. This is a black coral, I think,
Wow.
correct?
Yep. Although this looks
this
looks definitely different. This is definitely different.
Oh,
this
boy.
Now, this is a
folks,
sea
what is
pen.
this?
is a sea pen.
Cool. I have not seen one of these yet.
Yep. Yep. Oh, wow.
Always have
Is
to
this
wait till you
nice?
get close.
Yep.
it's the balance between moving
This
and
is
not
pretty.
Right. That's right. Carl said it's the balance between moving and
I know.
standing still.
I know.
Yeah, I think this is a sea pen.
moving. Nice and stable, whatever you'd like video.
Scott, what are the dark things that we're seeing there?
You're seeing the pharynx, so just the tube that's going from the mouth into the stomach. Those are some very long polyps. So this is a
and a
sea pen, which
polychaete
is
worm
a
behind.
type of octocoral that is specialized to live in soft sediment. And that's beautiful. It's nice and transparent, so you can very clearly see that skeletal rod. So there's that one rod. That rod is inside one giant polyp, which has an inflated base that's anchored into the sediment. And then it has secondary polyps arising from it, or daughter polyps. You can see how long they are. I'm not 100% certain this might be the genus Cophobelemnon.
Ship stop 2 minutes
But this
ago.
is definitely the first we've seen on this leg.
There's a
It is.
polychaete. There's a polychaete on the
It is
seafloor
very
behind.
exciting.
Come just a touch wider.
Okay.
What a great
Spin
view.
Right.
You want me to tilt up?
Yeah, tilt up a little. There we go.
Okay, pilot. When our videographer is done,
Can move up.
One last zoom, if we have it.
Yep.
At least in the view I'm looking at right now, you can see the inflated base of the colony.
Right.
And these are, these are very large polyps compared to the ones that we've been seeing on those bamboo corals, for example.
Yep.
They are.
But they're otherwise the same, have a ring of 8 tentacles that are pinnulated, those little side branches, kind of look like feathers.
All right, there's lasers.
And you can see little pink dots. That's just the base of the pharynx. So right there, it opens up into the larger digestive cavity called the gastrovascular cavity.
So
and it's called gastrovascular because it has 2 functions. One is digesting food, so the gastro part, and the vascular part is that there's no circulatory system, there are no blood vessels. Instead, there's a hollow space where water is channeled through and right up into the inside of the tentacles, and so that serves as the vascular system.
So, Scott, that large rod, that's the central rod, is that made out of calcium carbonate, or is it a lot of sclerites all fused together?
It's actually a protein with some amount of calcium carbonate embedded into it, so mixed together, amorphous calcium carbonate is, I believe, how it's referred. Yeah.
Great, thank you.
Okay, what's your new heading now?
Minus 310.
Okay. Looks pretty good.
Thinking 30 meters.
Okay, we're seeing angular, what look like massive rocks. These do not look like sediments.
Okay. Sounds good. Yeah,
that are sitting in the screen right now. A little tailless pile.
You just don't want to build up as we approach the cliff.
Yeah. Copy that.
We keep building up. We keep rushing each one and build up, 5 meters each time. Could be in for a surprise.
In many places where we see a soft sediment plain like this, and this is not a plain, it's on a slope, but where we see as much sediment as this, we often see the trails left behind by animals that move along the surface looking for food, sort of gobbling up the sediment and taking nutrients from it. We don't see that here, and my guess is that because this is on such a steep slope, that this slope itself is pretty dynamic, and so material is moving down the slope all the time.
3 or 5.
We did see when the brittle star was moving that its arms that it poked into the sediment loosened some of the sediment, and that sediment was rolling down the hill.
Bridge, ROV now.
Just from the motion of
the we can just do a snap zoom of this.
Okay.
Ready for another move.
Another sponge?
Yeah, another hexactinella sponge. Yeah, they're very common sponges in deep sea.
Right.
What is he anchored to?
He
sediment
has
the sediment.
He has
roots.
Little filaments,
fibers. Fibers.
In the sediment. And so it can move down the slope with the movement of the slope.
Oh. And it looks. Yeah. Yeah, Chris, this looks like one.
What is going on with this sponge? I agree. I think it's the same one, surely, but I just don't understand what's going on with the top of it.
Yeah, Chris, the other day when you were saying that it looked like that top part was kind of like falling off, it almost looks like this has kind of like regressed. That this sponge, because it doesn't have that typical morphology of these sponges, and it almost looks like that those cells have regressed, and so what you're seeing sticking out of the top is just the the remnants of that spicule axis.
Yeah, it could be, and this is a pretty long stalk, so maybe it's a very old sponge that's on the way out. He's in the twilight of his life.
Maybe. And we don't know how long these sponges live.
Okay.
Right. We've seen a number of
and
stalks.
Wait. Okay, so Chris, tell us about, these are not prehensile cirri on this crinoid, right?
They're not long.
Not very long. Oh, there's your favorite
animal.
animal.
I don't think so. I think this crinoid is in the family Antennodonidae, and I don't think they're particularly known for prehensile cirri, which are the way in which it is clasping onto the stalk. I think it's this family based on the alternating rays that are coming off of the arms. As you can see, they alternate on each side, and just the number of the arms. Charles Messing was trying to educate me on these guys last year, and so and he's one of the world's authorities on these deepwater crinoids. So just because those cirri are kind of short and they've only been able to do not even a single turn, you know, a 360 turn, I wouldn't necessarily call them prehensile at all.
And speaking of cirri, you can see right below that crinoid a barnacle that's attached, and it has its cirri extended as well. Different kinds of cirri.
That is a barnacle?
Oh, Patty, it's your favorite animal.
Yeah, but the stalked ones don't look like
Hey,
that. The big white ones, they look different.
This one's little.
So it's not tentacles, it's feet.
Excuse me.
You corrected me.
Yeah, legs.
I know they're legs.
Yeah, legs. Legs.
Okay.
Okay, great. Thank you.
All right.
We get distracted, pilot. We really want to go forward, don't we?
Yes. Very good. Well, we're doing.
Thanks,
the ship
Carl.
is currently moving.
Okay.
There's just not a lot to look at here, and we
Yeah,
can't get Sirius too far ahead.
because we have a wall.
Yes.
Yeah. So if you look in the main screen, folks, you will see a 45-degree slope, and that is the angle of repose for most particulate matter on the Earth.
It's amazing it doesn't all slide.
I think it does slide sometimes. We actually have seen some slump scars or sort of arcuate marks on the seafloor where a section of the mud that you see on the seafloor has slumped downward toward the deep seafloor beneath it.
You can see ripples now, too. In this.
A little bit, yeah, you certainly can, and they're going across the slope. So they're almost horizontal.
Not sure if that's another... I don't know if that's another black coral or a sea pen, but we'll keep going up.
I don't know. I'm looking at the Sirius sides sonar, and I don't see in front of us a coherent big wall yet. I mean, it looks like we're going to continue on a slope for a while.
Well, you know what? Then this is one of the things you were talking about yesterday during our dive planning meeting as well. That it, quite possibly could be basically a sedimented. It's not necessarily a rock face.
That's right.
We should be starting that move soon here.
I was really
About 2
pleased to
minutes
see
or
that
so.
when we picked up the rock earlier that the pilot used force 5 on a scale of 0 to 10 on the fingers of the manipulator, which generally means that the sample that's picked up is coherent enough not to get crushed. Because we picked up sediment, slightly solidified sediment yesterday, or indurated we call it, if it is hard enough to pick up in a lump rather than just falling apart. But he had to use force 1 or 2 to pick that up intact, as he tried it with a slightly higher
There's
force.
a really cool sea cucumber just going up in the upper left.
Yeah.
Green head, almost done. But if he turns back a little bit and goes up slope, turns to the left a little bit, you'll see him.
Oh yeah, here we go, holothurian. I was wondering about the trails we were looking at just as we approached this location. I think the darker places on the seafloor are where that animal has been and has scavenged sediment.
Could very well be.
Guessing. Wow, this one has really long, whatever they are, is sticking out of its body. As we get closer, maybe we'll take a snap zoom and see if it has little
podia.
white or those little pale pink polka dots on its side. We're going to do a quick zoom.
Okay, video. Can go in.
Look at that.
Ooh, polka dots? No polka dots.
It's got a full gut, that's for sure.
Boy, sure does. This is different from the previous one that we saw. It sure does. This is different from the previous one that we saw.
Yep.
Yeah,
so those, Allison Miller from the University of Guam says those are papillae on the dorsal or upper surface.
Okay, I'll remember that.
So are the papillae modified tube feet, or are they or not?
Well, Allison, are they modified tube feet?
Sliding everywhere here. Sorry.
That's all right.
You come out partial. Try to see. Oh, let's get out of here.
Yeah, our pilot is kicking up some of this sediment, but it is incredibly fine sediment. Very, very small grains of material and kind of slick, he said, as the ROV is kind of sliding around on the sediment.
Looks like you're moving, co-pilot.
I am on the move.
No, so as you saw, its gut was pretty full.
Oh, it sure was.
Yep.
Must have been a yummy spot.
We are on the NOAA ship Okeanos Explorer, which is America's ship for ocean exploration.
Live.
From where?
Let's do the next
From
move,
the Mariana Trench
you're at
National
300
Marine
now,
Monument.
right?
My name is Shirley
Yes.
Pomponi.
Next move, like
I am from
20
Harbor
degrees to
Branch
starboard and
Oceanographic
try to
Institute,
re-wire
Florida
the rocks over
Atlantic
there.
University, and the director of the
turn,
NOAA Cooperative Institute
just a
for
moment here.
Ocean
Where can we
Exploration
right now?
Research and
give it a
Technology.
turn
I
now.
am
Let's get
the
up to like
biology science lead on board this leg of our mission, and I am joined
And
by...
I am the geology lead on this leg of our mission. My name is Patty Fryer. I'm a research
And we can
professor
call it
at the
enough.
University
I'll
of
be ready to
Hawaii,
move quickly.
Manoa, and I'm part of
all
the
this light
Hawaii
is pretty
Institute of
terrible.
Geophysics and
Copy that.
Planetology
Three,
on the
no,
island of
the last
Oahu.
move was at
And we are
305,
joined by the rest of
320.
our
325.
shore-based
Yeah, I wanna
science
join back
team
up with
for
the rocks up
today's
there.
dive, and actually for
Co-pilot
many of the dives that
325,
we've made.
Yeah,
So we
325.
have
All right.
Allison Miller and David Burdick from
30
the
meters.
University of Guam. We have Asako Matsumoto from the Chiba Institute of Technology in Japan. We have Bruce
Ready to draw every
Mundy
nav.
from the NOAA National Marine Fisheries Service, the Pacific Marine Fisheries
Ready for another
Science Center.
ship
I know I
move,
butchered
30
that.
meters, bearing
that name.
325 degrees,
We
decimal 2
have
knots.
Chris Kelly and, well, Chris is, let me see, I'm trying to see, and Les Watling, who are both from the University of Hawaii, but I think Les is in Maine right now. Chris is in Hawaii. We have Debbie Blaney, who's also at the University of Hawaii Exploration Command Center, but she's from NOAA's Office of Ocean Exploration and Research in Silver Spring. We have Deb Glickson from Harbor Branch Oceanographic, Florida Atlantic University, and the NOAA Cooperative Institute for Ocean Exploration, Research, and Technology. And she's sitting at the Exploration Command Center at Harbor Branch with several of our summer interns. We have, wait, let me look down my list. Bob Carney from Louisiana State University.
I have to wait a minute for
We
you.
have Scott France from the University of Louisiana at Lafayette. We have Tara Harmer-Luke from Stockton University in my home state of New Jersey. And we have Tina Molodtsova from the P.P. Shirshov Institute in Moscow. We also, I think, we have Bob Stern on the line, and Bob is from the University of Texas in Dallas. Yep.
In the city of Richardson.
Let's see, who did I miss? Who have I missed? I'm sure I missed somebody. Casey Cantwell's on the line. Casey's here
Holy
out on the
smokes.
ship with us. Wow, look at this vertical.
Oh, this is very
Okay,
steep.
I'm going to shut up.
I just said in the chat log that it was 45 degrees, and I think it's a lot more than that. This
Yeah.
looks like an erosional chute where a lot of sediment has come down the slope and made a slight indentation in the slope of the tailless pile.
I don't expect we're going to see many animals there.
Actually, there was a brittle star to the left.
Yeah,
but
okay.
on
There's
the
many,
rock,
many sessile animals, I guess.
Yep, yep.
So we saw this on our sonar. It was about 20 meters to starboard, so we headed over this way.
Okay.
Oh, very impressive.
So pilot said they saw this on their sonar and they headed over this way.
We have sonar both on the remotely operated vehicle, which the pilot just used to find this exposed block of rock that looks jointed, in other words, fractured, and very blocky surface. We can't tell what kind of rock it is because the whole thing is covered with a coating of black manganese oxide, which seems to be
Okay, you can go
quite
back wide.
quite common on the cobbles and boulders that have slid
Wow,
down
look at
this
that.
seafloor. This is a big chunk of rock that has slid down here. Ooh, can't wait to get to the wall.
So this expedition, the 2016 Deepwater Exploration of the Marianas, is possible through successful partnerships and collaborations. The mission itself is designed and supported by NOAA's Office of Ocean Exploration and Research. The ship is operated by NOAA's Office of Marine and Aviation Operations. And the expedition is part of a 3-year campaign. It's called Capstone, the campaign to address the Pacific Monument science, technology, and ocean needs. So it's designed to address the needs of our monuments resource managers to better understand the deepest parts of our nation's marine monuments. Some of the other key partners from NOAA are the National Marine Fisheries Service, the Marine National Monuments Program, the Deep Sea Coral Research and Technology Program, and the National Center for Environmental Information.
Wow. And we did it pretty
through that partnership with the National Center for Environmental Information, all of the data that we're collecting are publicly available within 2 to 3 months after they're collected. So this is extremely fast for data to be made available to the public. Typical timeline on investigator-initiated expeditions would be somewhere around 2 to 3 years. And we are going to take a look at that. Isn't that a beauty? Isn't that a beauty?
Perfect.
Yeah.
We are at 2,372 meters, and about 2 meters off the seafloor.
Oh, isn't this beautiful? It's a Chrysogorgia. Is that golden coral? I think so.
We're having a little bit of chat on our among our shore-based scientists.
To collect or not to collect? That is the question.
This one's coming home.
To collect or not collect?
Chrysogorgia equals gold.
Yes, that's what I was thinking.
That's what it means.
Yep. So we have one. We have another couple of hours. We have 2 hours. Do we know what this is?
Yeah.
15 even.
If we know what this is, then we probably should not collect it, and we also have two more hours to go.
Okay. Also, we would have to back the ship up.
Okay, all right, never mind. Okay, never mind. Okay, so
we got some longer moves on across the sediment.
Okay, okay,
makes sense.
Okay, so one of the reasons we just decided to not collect this is because we would have to ask the ship to move, and at this depth, that movement translates down the probably 2,500 meters of
about that
tether that we have out.
Right.
It would take a long time for that motion to translate down to the Sirius, so it could eat up about 30 minutes or more of our time. So we're going to keep on moving.
We could take
keep our eyes peeled
on that shrimp, though,
and the anemone.
And part of the reason I want to is because the block just below the shrimp looks like it fell right off that outcrop, and it would be nice to see the exposed material behind the block that fell off, where the shrimp is. This is a twofer. This big block of stuff sliding down the hillside has broken up on its front face. Oh, and there's something weird white on the rock above the shrimp. Okay, we are now looking for leeches. Believe it or not, folks, we have been finding leeches on the tips of the antennae of these shrimp.
Oh, look how that one's walking along.
Yep, very graceful.
Walking along the bottom.
Co-pilot, keep an eye. Might have to move on.
Yeah, I'll let you know.
Okay.
Anything attached.
So much for the rock. The shrimp moved on.
We'll tilt down after.
All right.
Happy with that?
Yep.
And I'll just spin right and look at the rock.
Oh,
Sounds
thank
good.
you.
There's a
Thank you, pilot.
largish anemone down there, but it also looks like something we imaged earlier.
I have brought boxes of chocolate-covered macadamia nuts.
You brought one out the other day. Why
to bribe the
video?
pilots. That was for celebration in
Of
having
what?
picked up pieces of the mantle.
Oh, right. That's right.
Right. Oh, these are sedimentary sequences.
Okay, holding partial.
The pale tan color you see below the black staining is indicative of the fact that this lower block has separated itself, and after having done so, manganese oxide begins to encrust the newly exposed surface.
We can zoom on the pale.
Av, when did that move in?
2 minutes ago. Ship
Yeah.
stopped 2 minutes ago.
And we're doing all this
We have
as
about 5
Sirius
more
is
minutes to
moving
swing.
on up
I
the
do.
slope, so we're going to have to leave
So
pretty
maybe-
quick.
Maybe 30 seconds. here.
So geologists on shore, take a good look.
So I introduced some of our
So the current's
NOAA
definitely
partners,
from the
and I've
east to west.
introduced
It's very slight, but
some of the
gotta keep
science
that in mind
team
for the mud. You can see my
participating
ports
in
gives
this
but the mud
dive.
trails off to ports.
Might be a good idea to introduce another important partner,
Copy that. Earlier today we were
and
flying
that's the Global Foundation for
opposite
Ocean
direction.
Exploration,
Okay, pilot.
and the engineers from
Is your heading still
GFOE. Operate and maintain and upgrade these
If you want to
vehicles.
get over to that, I can actually
And as
turn
soon as
to
they
the
have a
starboard side
chance, we'll have them
we can go- depends on what
reintroduce
you wanna follow.
themselves.
I see your port is still more uphill. This was just kind of a random.
Yeah, it depends on what you want to
Yeah.
follow, really.
I'll follow it for a bit, but then eventually it looks like we will have to go port.
Yeah, Sirius shows that there's uphill to port too on the sonar.
So your camera's
So what we're
75
looking at on the
degrees.
right-hand side of the
Yes.
screen is an erosional, I wouldn't call it a valley, but it is an erosional indentation in the face of the wall of this fault scarp. You can see both sides of this. So frequently when material moves down slope on slopes as steep as this, it will gouge out the material over which it passes and create a bit of a valley in the slope. So it's undersea erosion. Mechanical erosion.
So is this kind of the top of a slide?
Yes, pilot. Excellent. You get an A for geology today.
Thank you. Do we all get a macadamia nut chocolate?
I will certainly arrange it.
Carl is trying to get a box of macadamia nut
No
chocolates.
problem.
All right, Carl, I want you to introduce yourself. This is Carl, who wants a box of macadamia nut chocolates and species named after him. And he is...
There was a
Whoa.
conversation about species names, but I didn't.
Well, you didn't demand or ask. You just suggested.
Suggested.
Strongly suggested. No. Okay, Carl, why don't you introduce yourself?
Okay, I'm Carl McCletchy, ROV pilot right now. I'm from Mid-Coast, Maine, all the way out here in Guam, piloting the ROVs.
Who's your co-pilot?
Co-pilot on the left.
Oh, wait, that's not your
Sorry.
co-pilot's on your right.
The other left.
I think of Levi as my co-pilot. So.
Yeah, well, think of Andy as your co-pilot right now.
No, I'm kidding. I got it wrong.
Well, I'm Andy Lister, and I'm on co-pilot today.
Wave to the camera, Andy.
Hi, I'm from
he
Houston,
is.
Texas, so out here in Guam.
Oh,
Cool.
I didn't know that, Andy. Okay, Levi.
Levi, I'm your navigator right now, and I'm out of Grand Rapids, Michigan area.
Wow, I'm all over the place. And we have on the far right,
Tara Smithy. I'm operating cameras, doing video right now.
she's from Montana.
Well, Portland, Oregon,
Oh,
actually.
yeah, but
just
you-
recently from Montana.
Recently from Montana.
Montana
Okay.
State.
And in the back row,
We do have a Montana.
my spotter.
Yep, I'm Annie White, and I am from Montana.
Right.
And I'm clipping video today.
Did that?
And
Never mind,
on
that's fine.
my far
I
left.
was looking at the lift line over there.
Uh-oh, wait.
Important guy.
We have
I was trying to stay anonymous.
no chance.
Jim Newman, I'm the dive supervisor on this cruise.
By the way, Diva and Deb say hi, Jim.
Oh, great.
We have a lot of fun out here. We're working
Cameras,
together really
60
closely with
Yes, good.
with our ROV crew,
Say,
videographers, with a mapping
Yes.
team,
And the ship's
the
crew.
ship's
too.
crew,
Yep.
We're done.
Yeah.
our
Oh, nice.
primo expedition coordinator, Casey Cantwell.
Oh, Casey's a wonder.
Yeah.
And she
Oh, wait, and
never
what about
sleeps.
Matt? What about Matt?
Okay,
For goodness
yeah, going.
sakes.
I know, we love Matt. Matt Dornbeck's from the Deep Sea Coral Research and Technology
and we
Program.
have a jelly. which unfortunately we can't sample because, you know, it's tough to do that. But for all those samples that we have collected,
oh, that's pretty.
Lasers coming off.
Matt has been invaluable
Oh my gosh.
in cataloging. And this jelly looks a bit like the one the most recent one we have seen.
Do you have any more zoom?
That's full.
Anybody on shore know anything about
Oh wait, sorry.
any specifics about this jelly?
That's
Certainly looks like all its
That's
tentacles are tucked up
definitely an alien.
inside. It's just floating along. It looks like paraphilia.
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 No, you're right. Parry. No, you're right. It was
yeah.
parry. Paraphilia.
Up.
Oh, it's pretty.
Paraphilia.
Beautiful.
Hi guys, if this is Periphylla, then it belongs to what's called the coronate jellies. And you can see there's a fairly deep furrow that divides kind of the upper half to the lower half.
And we are facing up
So
slope
that's,
at
I think, one reason we're
290
suggesting
degrees.
that that's what it is.
And I'm stationary.
And it does look like the area where the mouth is, underneath there, the tentacles and the central part of the stomach are all heavily pigmented. And I don't know for certain, but I do know that there are some hypotheses that some of these gelatinous animals that live in the water column have a pigmented digestive system so that if they eat bioluminescent animals, they themselves won't be seen and therefore be prey to other animals.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Believe this. Maybe we should do more like 270, or sorry, 310 or something.
310.
Just so we don't too far off track.
Sure, let me turn that way real quick while you're looking at
Oh, we
this.
do have a good view of a
Got some in the
stalked
back there too.
Want to get a quick zoom here video?
jelly?
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
that a
It is. It is. It's another hexactinellid sponge.
Oh,
This one
okay.
looks. This one looks.
This
Diff-
looks much healthier than the one we
You
saw. It was
think?
just skeletal. Tissue. We like having tissue. These are almost vase-shaped. Is what is the interior?
Can I
Is
take
it
a bit more zoom on this?
full of tissue? Or?
Oh yes.
Okay.
Yep. Yep. Cells. So these are organized at the cellular level. They don't actually make true tissues, but the cells.
Or organs, you mean?
Tissues or no
organs?
tissues
Oh,
or
okay.
even tissues.
Really?
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. But the cells do differentiate. They can de-differentiate and re-differentiate, and so they differentiate to do different functions, but not organized into true tissues.
So a given cell can change its
facing a
function. Is that correct?
310 to 315.
Wow.
Okay, I'll get back that way.
Man,
And,
wouldn't that be
ready
nice
when you are. First
if we could do
All
that?
right, let me get centered up, and then we'll head that way.
I think at 315.
315, 310. What are you seeing, Carl?
Yeah, 315. Can do 30 meters.
Copy that. Call it in. Bridge RV nav. Ready for a ship move. 30 meters, bearing 315 degrees, decimal 2 knots.
What's that?
That's weird.
Some old sediment from my rock drifting by, but then can go in on that video. Back up.
What are we looking at?
It's very.
We have
Very
zoomed
like
and
little
I don't
tubes.
see
Yeah.
anything much.
Well, you
Tiny,
know, they're
tiny.
like you see those? See those dots?
Oh my!
Those are all surrounding tubes.
take a bit more zoom.
Yeah, I'm just trying to come down.
I'll just hold the partial.
No clue. Somebody on shore, help us out here.
Well,
What is this?
It's. I'm not sure if there are tubes or if they're just holes there. I can't tell from here, but we're getting in closer. So wait for it. Wait. For
I
it.
know.
Wait for it.
Huh. Arrayed in little arcs.
So these actually look like burrows, although I do see on the lower left there's a tube. Any guesses, you deep sea biologists on our shore team?
I'm going to take a closer zoom and see if there are any tentacles sticking out of any of the holes.
Do scuba divers wear golf shoes? Guess you can't dive this deep, huh?
You can, only once.
Well,
we can see some little white tunicates down
Somebody
here.
said you can only once.
Yeah, you can.
Not if you have that weird gizmo that, what did he have?
An abyss.
Nah, an abyss. Oh,
James
let me do that.
Cameron's
I'll do that.
movie.
Put one of those helmets on me. I'll breathe in that fluid and go down 10,000 feet.
Yeah, only if a rat's done it first.
Whenever you're clear.
I think they have.
Did you see something?
I just wanted to take
Nope,
a zoom on the
no
ones a little
Russian water
further away,
tentacles.
right in the center of here.
Okay.
We are making movie references. We should stop.
Okay. Just wanted to see.
Okay, so there's some debate.
Clear.
Les says, I can't remember the name of this thing. It was a big fuss a decade or so ago when Silacker was chasing this. No organism was ever found, so it was thought to be microbial or sponges. No, I don't think it's sponges.
There's another one of it.
Mystery for sponges, has been a mystery for decades
A couple of them.
that I thought was solved at some point, but I can't recall, says Scott France.
Diction.
Two
Yeah,
more here.
Paleodiction.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, you find these ancient
okay,
fossil
so
traces.
Our younger Tara Luke, you're thinking of Paleodictine nodosum. Scott France has Wikipedia'd it. Paleodiction is a pattern usually interpreted to be a burrow, which appears in the geologic record beginning in the Cambrian
540 million
years ago and in modern ocean environments. Dolph Silacker proposed in 1977 that it may be a trap for food, a mechanism for farming, or a foraging path. Alternatively, it has been suggested that it may be a cast of a xenophyoforeign protist. These all sound pretty far-fetched to me. Okay, somebody just called in.
Hello
that
there.
That was me. This is Tara Luke.
Hi, Tara.
I actually give this assignment to my students in my deep sea biology class.
Fun.
And I show them there was a film, an IMAX film called Volcanoes of the Deep Sea that was made by a group of scientists from Rutgers and elsewhere. And Dolph Seliger was one of them.
And Rona.
He was searching for Paleodiction nodosum. And at the end, of course, they don't find anything. And so I asked my students, okay, now you need to tell me what it actually is. And basically, exactly what Scott said, there are two main hypotheses as to what these actually are. And a sponge is one, and a xenophyoforeign is another. And again, no one's actually ever found the organism. One thought is these might be casts that are left behind. And in that particular research cruise, these core samples were taken. And they sliced and sliced and sliced and never found the organism.
Wow.
I find it hard. Thanks very much, Tara. I find it hard to believe that they would be sponges. I've just never seen anything like that would be
I understand.
Sponge remains. Really interesting. Okay, so that was a rather pathetic-looking coral, I think.
Very sick. Well, it must be pretty difficult for animals that have set themselves on a slope that may be as dynamic as this, because if there is a slump, there would be a huge cloud of sediment that would come raining down on any organism.
I like it.
So Tina says, and I would happen to agree with her actually. She says sea pen, and I think, I mean, to me it would seem like that would be more logical, and because those things like retract.
Oh, you mean the stick that we just looked at?
No. Oh, she was. Oh, sorry. I thought you were talking about. Oh, you were talking about the stick.
Yeah,
okay,
I think
sorry.
So.
I was talking about the holes. I think the holes could be sea pen holes.
North where it should be.
Okay, so we are oriented right now at 30 degrees, heading in the ROV, and you can see the slope. Still 45 degrees. We are still on the talus. And that just means, you know, material that has accumulated at the bottom of the wall that we are ascending.
Well, let's do our next one at more like 320. We'll keep kind of splitting the difference.
Okay. Kind of make our way
so what a
over
pilot is doing, he's kind of
I'm right in the middle of
alternating
right now.
port and starboard, looking along
okay.
the surface of
even, so
the seafloor that we're traversing. And that gives us a real good view of what is surrounding us, in case there are any fish in the water or
I could turn a little
jellies.
Bit more. Yeah, you can see in mine.
Yeah.
Anything of interest, right?
Interesting.
Well, you want me to turn a little bit past 320?
So if anybody on shore sees a fish out there, let us know. Although probably Tara will see it before any of you do.
Or Annie.
Or Annie. Tara has the best definition screen, however.
I'm at 340.
Okay. Yeah, let's do our next move that way. Maybe it's another landslide ahead.
Now, what are you picking up over there?
The pilot's looking at the sonar image in the lower right-hand corner of the right-hand choice of 3 feeds that you have. That's our quad screen. And what he's seeing out in front of the ROV right now is a very bright yellow and orange return at the, basically what would be the north end, the upper end of the...
Did we ever call in a second move?
Half...
Are we in the middle of a 30-meter move? Or
half swath that the sonar is making in front of the ROV.
How long ago did the ship
And that
stop?
would be a series of hard returns from rocks or something.
Okay.
As you can see in front of you, there is an indentation in the slope where the rocks are collecting. And that's probably created by the rocks sliding down this soft,
let's call it in now.
fine sediment slope.
Stretched out.
We might want to move up. Let me just see
the
what's
rocks
going on.
Pause. Just let all the swing catch up.
Something on the left?
Yeah, down
30 meters
the ground,
coming up.
It just went out of frame on the left.
Bridge, RV nav.
Keep panning. It's probably top of the screen left.
Ready for another ship move. 30 meters,
yeah.
bearing 340 degrees, decimal 2 knots.
Just wasn't sure if it was a fish.
Well, let's get a zoom.
All right.
We're just waiting on Sirius to get over to those rocks.
Yep.
Okay, video.
Go ahead, watch it.
Oh, it's a quick one.
Okay.
To the waypoint that we were given, and we're 400 meters away. We do get into the steeper inclines pretty soon here. Yeah.
So how far have we gone now?
So we have gone total for the dive, or
yeah,
you're looking at 440 meters.
So we've gone 440. It's a long way.
Yeah. You guys have been averaging 0.07.
Too slow.
Dan stopped for a very important fish.
Yeah.
It was a really good specimen.
It's a game changer.
So I have a...
we've had a question regarding angle of repose.
I have a guess how far we'll make it up.
It is the angle that material that has fallen off a mountainside, or in this case, an undersea fault scarp, so wall, formed by movement of the crust of the seafloor along a very steeply dipping fault. You can see how steep the slope is in front of us. And what happens is, large blocks of material will collect at the base of these slopes, and they'll achieve an angle of about 45 degrees, which is the average angle for stability for slopes of rock material. In this case, the entire thing is covered by fine sediments. So as we saw very early in the dive, any of the rocks that we saw at the bottom were dusted with sediments, like the ones that are coming into view on the left side of your screen right now. So this is the typical angle at which, if you are out in the mountains hiking around, you'd see a pile of debris in a more or less fan shape at the mouth of a stream coming down the face of a mountain and spreading out in all directions radially at the base of the slope and depositing its load, or the sediments and rocks it's carrying in the stream, as the water spreads out along the base of the mountain. And this will build up a fan of debris, which is an alluvial fan. They're all over the mountains in the western part of the U.S. As you approach from the east, you can see these. And that's pretty much what we're looking at here, but on top of all of it is this dusting of sediment that is derived both from the water column and maybe from up the top of this slope. Part of the rocks at the top may be made of sediment. And unless sediment is buried deeply, it remains relatively soft and gooey, and so if there's any jiggling of the slope, then that material can slide down and cover the face of the wall. There is likely to be a lot of jiggling here. It's a very seismically active part of the Mariana system.
When was that move in there again?
150.
Copy that. You have something floating right there on the right, center screen.
I see.
I do.
You do.
It's coming towards center.
Holothurian.
Ooh, holothurians. It's swimming.
I don't think I'll be able to get a black background on them.
They are so pretty.
It's okay.
When they
Okeanos
swim.
is pretty black, so it'll contrast with the white.
Okay.
Very tiny, right? Kind of in the middle. We're zooming in on it now. This is a holothurian, and its gut does have sediment in it. We've seen some that have had a lot more than that. We've seen one today that had coils of sediment absolutely filling the core of its body. So the mouth is at the top, and on the right-hand side of the top of this animal, you can see where the mouth is. It's kind of a red blotch. And that mantle that you see flapping is how it moves through the water. Yep. Extremely gracefully. These things are just gorgeous. Anybody on shore can identify it?
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah, hi, it's Scott. And one interesting thing about these sea cucumbers is that they don't have a well-defined stomach. Instead, they have a very, very long intestine, which allows for a lot of surface area to digest what little amounts of organics there are in this sediment. So that's why you see that so tightly coiled up on the inside to increase the surface area.
Thank you, Scott.
Try to now. Backing up.
Yeah, on full wide.
He's inside the camera. Okay, I'll let him go.
Yep, pulling me.
Spectacular color.
Turning back, give him more tether. So you can see we're kind of in this gully. There's sediment on the port side.
We can see some grooves, fairly narrow grooves, moving across to the left of the screen. It looked like they probably were formed where big rocks slid down the surface of the seafloor here. And a lot of rocks on the right-hand side.
Okay, so I bet you're moving pretty well now.
I'm starting to move.
Okay.
Actually, just starting to move.
And the ship just finished its move.
Nice. We have stacked a couple moves in a row before we stopped, right? Because we just waited 4 minutes before the last one.
I think this is our only move in there right now. Isn't it?
According to my calculations, one move's finished, a 30-meter move finished at 146. I called one on at 150.
But had Sirius finished moving though?
So yeah, I get
Sirius had finished moving at like 7-8 minutes ago. Right, you called it at 140?
If the ship stopped at 46, and then you called on the next move at 150, then Sirius was definitely still swinging from the one that ended at 46.
We only have about a 5-minute layback.
Okay. So the terrain's definitely a little confusing here. You're aimed nicely into it though.
Go ahead, Bridge.
Oh, there's an arcuate scar, like a little slump scar at the top of the screen, concave downslope.
Interesting shadow. Oh my
and
goodness.
it looks as if a hole, there's a Holothurian on the left side of the screen. A couple of them real close together. Interesting. Yeah, it looks as if a lot of this material has just slid out from underneath that slump scar.
Copy that. Thank you, Bridge. We'll probably come off bottom at 3:30.
Okay, Nav, I'm going to center up on you. Sorry.
Copy that. We'll do.
I'm going to center up on you.
Copy.
You're centered nicely on the slope. This is interesting here.
Wow. We have
wow.
We
Look at
have
that.
the terminal end, that's the distal end of a little sediment slide. Very distinct. This is unusual that you should see something like this.
Oh my gosh. Kind of like a glacier.
Very streaky. Yeah, it is.
Oh my gosh, look. And it looks like that's a crust almost.
It does, yeah. I don't think so. I think the sediment below has slid across the surface. It may have gouged it out, but for certain there is a hard, maybe indurated sediment or hard rock surface that was creating that little shadowed undercut. And we have a brittle star on the left. But this surface looks streaked.
Yeah.
Almost striated. At first I thought this was an independent body of material that had slid down, but the edge of it appears to be where it is just covered with a pile of sediment, the apex of which is at the bottom of the screen. And the sediment has slid across the surface and collected below it. But I will admit, I don't know what the surface is.
The ship stopped at 156.
Okay.
Because we do seem to be on some kind of, wow, there's another Holothurian. That's number 3 in the same area. I think, and this is just speculation, but the surface we're looking at now may be part of the sedimented slope of this huge fan of material that's coming out. It may have been buried earlier, is now denuded, and so what we're seeing is more indurated sediment, in other words, more slightly cemented or compressed sediment grains. And the looser stuff has just slid right off the surface of it. In case you heard someone screaming in the background, the ship's door is now open. And advertisements of same are being shouted about the ship.
Yeah, it's cheaper than 45.
What we're seeing on the right side of the screen.
Wow.
Oh,
this, oh my gosh.
If we can zoom on that.
What? like
yeah,
that
I think
intersection
that what we're
there.
looking at is the loose sediment that just slid down on top of this lower layer that we're crossing right now. So we may see some layering in that material, or we might get an idea of what it's composed of, but I